All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into, well, you could call it a treasure chest, honestly. Yeah, a treasure chest of financial security for later in life. We're talking Social Security benefits and how to make them work best for you in retirement.
Yeah, and it is surprising, isn't it? How many folks kind of head toward retirement without a solid grasp on how to get the absolute most out of Social Security? It's a big deal.
It is. It's huge. And look, the thing is, understanding this, it's not just, theoretical for folks out there listening. I mean, every extra dollar, literally every dollar you can strategize to get from Social Security, well, that's a dollar less you got to pull from your own savings.
Exactly. And over the long haul, man, that can be the difference between retirement where you're comfortable, not stressed about money, and one where you're always watching every penny.
Exactly, exactly. And for tons of people, Social Security, it's not just some little bonus. It's the foundation, it's the bedrock of their whole retirement income plan.
It really is.
And and you think back to, its beginnings way back in 1935 under President Roosevelt. I mean, it was meant to be this safety net, right?
Right.
Especially for older Americans. But the system we have today, it's complex, it's evolved, lots of moving parts.
It has.
So our goal today in this deep dive is really pretty simple. How do you personally make absolutely sure you're getting every single dollar, every cent that you've earned from Social Security, no more, no less.
Right.
So let's get into it.
Okay, so let's jump right into what's often the biggest decision point for your benefits. The age when you decide to start claiming them. You can actually start receiving payments as early as age 62.
Which, I mean, on the surface, that can sound pretty tempting, right? Get that income stream started sooner?
It can, but it's crucial to understand that choosing to claim early, it comes with a pretty significant trade-off.
Oh.
You're going to see your monthly payments permanently reduced.
Gotcha.
Now, on the other side of things, there's what's called your full retirement age, or FRA.
Right.
This is the age where you become eligible to receive your full unreduced Social Security benefit. And right now that falls somewhere between 66 and 67, depending on what year you were born.
Right.
Okay. So that's FRA. And this is where things get kind of interesting, because if you're able to wait even longer past your FRA all the way up to 70, your monthly benefits are going to increase
Yeah.
like substantially.
Yeah, they do. And this bump up happens because of they're called delayed retirement credits. Basically, for every year you hold off claiming past your full retirement age, you get this percentage increase added to your benefit amount.
Yeah.
And over time, that can really, really add up.
It can. For lots of people, particularly those folks who expect to live a longer life, delaying your claim, strategically delaying it, that's one of the most powerful ways to really max out your total lifetime Social Security benefits. Like, for example, someone with an average estimated full retirement benefit. If they delay from 66 to 70, their monthly payment could jump up by about 32%.
Wow. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
So it's not just about getting the money sooner, it's about thinking long term
Right.
and maybe getting those bigger payouts later on. But making that choice, deciding when to claim, that can be a lot. It can feel overwhelming, honestly.
Yeah, it can.
Which, naturally brings us to the idea of personalized planning. Like, how important is it really to have a plan that's actually tailored to you?
Oh, it's essential. Like
Yeah.
economics experts, guys like Lawrence J. Kotlikoff, they said it over and over again. A one-size-fits-all approach to Social Security, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Your own financial situation, your health, how long you expect to live, all those individual factors,
Yeah.
they got to be part of the equation.
Right, right. So it really is a question for everyone listening. Have you thought about how all those personal things might point you to the best age to start claiming, what's best for you specifically?
Yeah.
And thankfully, you're not expected to figure all this out on your own. There are some good resources out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. For example, you got tools like Maximize My Social Security. They're designed to really look at your situation and come up with strategies just for you
Hmm.
to help you make the most informed choice. They often let you play around with different scenarios and see, what claiming at different ages could look like,
Yeah.
numbers in black and white, based on your own data. It's
Mhm.
helpful.
Okay, so now for those of you who are married, there's a whole other layer to this, right? Spousal benefits.
Oh, yeah.
This can really, really change the game when it comes to maximizing your benefits as a couple, can it?
It really can. Married couples, they've got some unique opportunities to boost their combined Social Security income. Like, for instance, one spouse could claim a spousal benefit, one that's based on the other spouse's earnings record, even if that spousal benefit is less than what their own work history would get them eventually.
Okay, so hold on, let me get this straight. So even if I've worked my whole career, earned my own Social Security credits, I could still be eligible for a spousal benefit based on my partner's work record.
You got it. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Wow.
And what's really interesting is in some cases, a spouse might decide to claim a spousal benefit first and then later on switch over to their own retirement benefit, the one based on their own work history.
Okay.
If that one ends up giving them a larger payout each month, it's like having options,
Yeah.
at different points in your retirement.
Right, right. Yeah. Like having that flexibility, that's smart.
Yeah.
Now, you also mentioned something called file and suspend. What was that about?
The file and suspend strategy. Well, the specific rules around it, they've changed a bit over time, but historically it let one spouse file for their benefits and then right away ask to have those benefits suspended.
Okay.
It sounds kind of contradictory, but by doing that, their own benefit kept growing thanks to those delayed retirement credits.
Right.
But at the same time, because they technically filed, it let the other spouse claim a spousal benefit, one based on the first spouse's earnings record.
Okay.
Now, while the exact way you do that, suspending right after filing, that's changed, the basic idea, the idea of spouses coordinating their claiming actions, that's still key for married couples. It's about maximizing the total benefits coming into the household.
So the takeaway for married folks listening is definitely to really dig into how your work histories and potential benefits, how they all work together. Maybe you can get a boost to your overall retirement income that way.
Definitely.
Now, as important as Social Security is, for so many, it's important to be realistic about what it is, what it's actually designed to do, and maybe what it's not.
Absolutely. It's a common misconception that Social Security is supposed to cover all your expenses in retirement. The reality is it's more like a foundation. It's meant to replace roughly 40% of your pre-retirement income.
Mm-hmm. And most people, if they want to keep living the same way they did before retiring, they usually need more like 70% to 80% of that pre-retirement income.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a pretty big gap to fill.
It is. And that's exactly why you got to think of Social Security as a crucial piece of your retirement plan, a key piece.
Yeah.
But most of the time, not the whole picture. Savings, investments, those are usually essential to bridge that gap and really make sure you're comfortable, financially secure in retirement.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And that brings up a really important question for everyone listening. What are you doing? What steps are you taking to plan for that potential gap?
Right, exactly.
That 30%, 40% that Social Security alone might not cover.
Exactly.
That's the core question right there.
Yeah.
Now, something else about Social Security that folks might not realize, might even be surprised by, is taxes.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that their Social Security benefits, they can actually be taxed.
Right.
And it can come as a bit of a shock, once they're already in retirement. If you're what they call your combined income, that's your adjusted gross income, any non-taxable interest you're getting, and half of your Social Security, if that goes over certain limits that the IRS sets, well, some of your benefits could be taxable. Like take a married couple filing jointly. If their combined income is between $32,000 and $44,000, up to 50% of their benefits could be taxed. And if it's over $44,000, that jumps up to 85% that could be taxed.
So it's not always going to be tax-free income, that's for sure. That's another piece of the retirement planning puzzle that people need to be aware of.
It really is.
Nobody wants that surprise tax bill in retirement.
Nobody does. And knowing that your benefits could be taxed, it lets you plan better. Like you can manage withdrawals from your savings, other income you might have, in a way that helps you keep your overall taxes down.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about when to claim those benefits, personalized planning, spousal benefits, the coverage gap, and the whole tax thing. So let's get into some really specific tips, expert tips, for maximizing those benefits.
Yeah. Okay, great. So first and foremost, know your full retirement age, your FRA. We talked about it before. It's the age you can start getting your full Social Security benefit.
Right.
66, 67, somewhere in between, depends on when you were born. But knowing this number, it's like the foundation of your retirement plan. It's the benchmark for any decision to claim earlier or later.
Okay, so know your FRA. Tip number 2. And we've touched on this, but it's worth repeating. Delay those benefits if you can. If your finances allow it, waiting till you hit 70 to start claiming, that can mean a much bigger monthly check for the rest of your life. Those delayed retirement credits, they really make a
You do.
difference.
Big difference.
Okay, expert tip number 3. This one's especially for couples. Coordinate your benefits. Work together on this, you and your spouse. We've talked about spousal benefits, the different claiming strategies. It's crucial for couples to plan together, really talk about when each of you is going to claim, understand how your choices affect each other. It can be a really powerful way to max out your benefits as a couple.
It can.
Here's another really important one, especially for folks they're getting close to retirement, but they're still working.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware of earnings limits.
Yeah.
If you start taking Social Security before your full retirement age and you're still working, still bringing in money, your Social Security benefits, they could be reduced.
Temporarily.
Temporarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, temporarily, if your earnings are over a certain limit. But once you hit your FRA, those earnings limits, they go away.
Right, they do.
And any benefits they held back earlier, they usually add that back into your payments later on.
Right, so you end up with a higher monthly benefit.
Okay. And our last expert tip, consider longevity. If you've got family members who've lived long lives, or if you're in great health yourself and think you might have a longer than average lifespan, delaying your benefits, strategically delaying them, that might be the best move for you.
Yeah.
Those bigger monthly checks you'd get by waiting, they can really provide more financial security, over a longer retirement.
Yeah.
So those are all great tips, super valuable, actionable things people can do. Now, you also mentioned some kind of out of the box strategies, things people might not think about right away. What are some of those?
Well, one important area that sometimes gets overlooked is survivor benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So if your spouse passes away, you could be eligible for survivor benefits based on their earnings record.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those survivor benefits, they can be even higher than what you're currently getting or what you'd be entitled to on your own.
Wow.
It's really worth understanding the rules around survivor benefits, especially if you've lost a spouse.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not just about your own work, your own contributions. Your spouse's contributions can make a difference too, potentially.
Exactly.
So survivor benefits, that's one out-of-the-box strategy. What's the other one you wanted to mention?
This is probably the most empowering tip, I think. If you're trying to navigate all the ins and outs of Social Security, and it can be complicated, talk to a specialist. Someone who really knows this stuff.
Yeah.
The rules, the regulations, the little details, it can be a lot.
Right.
A qualified Social Security specialist, they can give you personalized advice, help you see all your options, maybe help you avoid making costly mistakes, and most importantly, make sure you're not missing out on any money that you've rightfully earned, that you deserve.
Right. So it sounds like even though there's a lot of information out there, sometimes getting expert advice, professional help, it's the smartest move.
It can be. It really can. Think of it like, you'd get expert advice for any other big financial decision.
Yeah.
A Social Security specialist, they can be a huge help when it comes to making the most of this part of your retirement income.
All right. So we've covered a lot of ground here, lots of information. But the big takeaway is that maximizing your Social Security benefits, it doesn't just happen.
It doesn't.
It takes planning, it takes strategy, and it's got to be tailored to you, to your situation.
Right.
By learning about your options, by understanding those key decision points, you can really set yourself up for a more secure retirement, a financially sound future.
Absolutely. The more you know, the better choices you can make.
Exactly.
Choices that'll benefit you, your finances for the long haul.
Exactly. And on that note, here's something to think about, something to chew on after the show's over. Think about your own full retirement age, your FRA. Then think about, how secure you'd feel financially if you were able to wait even just 1 year longer before claiming your benefits. What difference would that extra money each month make? Could it give you more peace of mind? Would it let you enjoy your retirement more? Really, it's worth taking the time to explore that, to think about your own situation. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive today. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.